So let's create a bean that will receive 4 values and will return 1. So right click my beans and new and a class. So this bean is going to receive account number, account name, account type and balance, and will insert this data into the database. So we are going to name this as new account. So specify the name of the bean and say finish. Now here we'll have to create a few properties. So we'll create 4 properties to insert data into the database. So take private integer account number, private string account name, private string account type, and private double balance. These are the 4 columns present in the database table account. So we have taken 4 properties for those 4 columns. And let us take one more additional property that we are going to return from here. So see, these are, let us describe the table. Describe accounts. Now you can see there are 4 columns: account number, account name, account type and balance. So we have created 4 properties in the bean so that we can receive data and we can insert it into the accounts table. So here we are going to take an additional property, private boolean insert status. Now this is going to return whether the insert activity is successful. So we'll name this as insert status. Fine. Now let's write a constructor that will initialize the properties. So public new account. Say account number equals to 0, account name, account type equals to double quote, balance is 0, and insert status is false. Now the constructor is ready. Now the next thing we usually do in a bean is to create setters and getters. So we need 4 setters in this example: account number, account name, account type and balance. We need setters for these properties, and we need a function that will return insert status. So right click the editor, go to source, generate getters and setters. Now we'll have to select the appropriate setters and getters from here. So we are taking setter for account name, setter for account number, setter for account type, setter for balance, and now here actually we are in search of a getter for insert status property, but here there is a different function, is insert status. Now this will be used as a getter for the servlets and JSPs that will return values in the form of true and false. So instead of a getter we have a function called is insert status, and the return type of that function is boolean. So automatically it's going to return you the value of insert status property. So we have got all the setters and a getter is also ready. So we are just writing a comment here. So this is insert status function is going to work like a getter because the property is of a boolean type. So now the bean is ready with the setters. Now in the last setter we have to add a function that will actually insert the data received by the bean in the database table account. So we are calling a function called insert account in the last setter so that all the values will be ready. So let's write this function. Because this function is going to be used internally by the bean, we are declaring it as private. So private void insert account, and here we'll have to write a lot of JDBC. Let's create objects of the JDBC classes like connection, con, prepared statement, PST. We'll have to import java.sql package for these classes. So let's write import java.sql.star. So because this is an example of insert query, we don't need a result set. Now here in the try block, first of all we'll have to load the JDBC driver and establish connection with the database with the help of the connection string. But if you remember, we have already done that in a bean. So we have written the formalities like try, catch and everything. So here normally we write class.forName, but because we have a bean ready, if you remember in the last example, we created a bean called DB connector, which provides a ready-made database connection to all other programs. So we can use a bean inside another bean also. So here, instead of writing all that connectivity parameters, we'll create an object of the DB connector. So DB connector DBC equals to new DB connector, and con equals to DBC. Now we have a getter present in that DB connector bean which returns us a ready-made database connection. So con equals to dbc.get DB connection. So the connectivity is established. So one bean is making use of another bean. That is very well possible in Java. So we can improve reusability of our code by doing this. Now PST equals to con.prepare statement, and the query that we need in this example is we want to insert 4 values in the accounts table. So we'll be writing insert into accounts values bracket question mark comma question mark comma question mark comma question mark. Now 4 question marks we have specified here, and here we'll have to specify 4 values in place of these question marks. So in place of the first question mark, we are going to put account number property. In place of the second, we'll put the account name property. In place of the third question mark, we'll put value of the account type property, and in place of the fourth question mark, we'll put value of the balance property. And now finally we'll execute the insert query with the help of execute update function, and if the query is executed successfully, we have a property called insert status, which we are going to set as true. If anything goes wrong with this code, it automatically jumps into the catch block and we will not get the result. So if everything is okay, insert status will become true and close the connection. So this is how the bean component class is ready. It has got 4 setters, one getter actually in the form of is insert status function, and a processing function which will take data from the properties and will insert into the database table accounts. So everything is ready. All activities whichever we wanted to perform in this bean are done. This is the most important function, insert account, because this is the one that actually connects and communicates with the database. So as I told you, a bean can use another bean. Mostly people have a doubt about this, and we are using it in this example. So the insert operation that we wanted to perform is done here. Now we'll have to write few other programs to test this bean. As we know, bean cannot be executed directly, so we'll have to write an HTML form that will take data from the user. So first of all, we'll have to put a hyperlink on the index page. So we'll write ahref equals to open new account.html. Now this hyperlink will take the user to an HTML form which will accept 4 values from the user. So create a page, open new account.html, and here we are going to create an HTML form. So it's a routine job for us. So form name equals to frm, method equals to post as usual, and action equals to, here we are going to specify name of a servlet, open account. So we'll actually create a table and a form to accept account number, account name, account type, and balance. And at last we need a submit button to send all this data to a servlet. Now we'll have to create text boxes for each of these. So for account number, we are creating a text box with a name ANO. For account name, we'll create another text box with a name ANM. For account type, we can create a text box with a name ATYP, and for balance we have created a text box with a name BAL. Now our HTML form is ready. Now this form will submit its data to a servlet. So the next job we'll have to do is to create a servlet with a name open account. This servlet will receive data from the HTML form and will pass it on to the bean, and the bean will insert the data into the database. This is what the process that we want to carry out. So create a servlet with a name open account. Because this servlet is going to receive data from an HTML form, it's going to be a do post servlet. So at the time when we have to select the service functions, we'll have to select. So now the servlet post in this case class is created. Now this is the do post function. The first job we'll have to do is to receive data coming in from the HTML form. So create few variables to receive data from the HTML form. Data type of these variables should be selected appropriately so that we can pass this data to the bean and bean can insert it into the database. So integer type ANO, ANM and ATYP string type, and BAL of double type, and receive the data with the help of request.get parameter as we do usually. So request.get parameter ANO, because we want this data in integer type, so we have converted it into integer. Receive value from text box ANM, receive value from text box ATYP, and receive value from text box BAL and convert it into double before we store it into a variable. So all the data is received by the servlet. Now here in this servlet we don't need to write any JDBC code. Actually we want to insert this data into the database, but because we have a bean ready, we don't need any JDBC in the servlet. So we have to just import a package, import my beans dot new account. This is the name of the class, bean class, that we want to import. So create an object of the bean class, new account, obj equals to new account, and now we'll have to call 4 setter functions so that we can assign values received from the HTML form to the properties of the bean. So obj.set account number, ANO, obj.set account name, ANM. If you remember, these are the functions that we created in the bean and we are calling it from here, from this servlet. So obj.set account type atyp, and finally obj.set balance, name of the variable is bal. So we have given all the 4 values to the bean now, and now the bean will perform all the insert operations and will return us value of a property called insert status. But if you remember, it is not in the form of a get type of a method, it is a different one. It has is insert status. So we'll check if obj dot insert status. By default, every condition in if is evaluated to true, so we don't need to write obj dot is insert status equals to true. By default it is considered as true. So if obj dot insert status means if it is true, then we'll be showing some message like the insertion is successful and the account is opened. So we'll have to write here if obj dot is insert status, if the bean returns a value true, it means the data is inserted successfully. So we'll display a message like h3 account opened successfully. And if the bean returns false, that means the insertion is not successfully done. So in that case we'll be showing a message failed. Now but here, because we are in a servlet, we'll have to create object of the printWriter class to display messages to the browser. So we'll create printWriter out equals to response dot get writer, and this printWriter class is present in a package java.io, so we'll have to import it. So everything is done. The HTML form is ready, the servlet is ready, and the bean is ready. So HTML form will take data from the user, will pass it to a servlet, servlet will give it to a bean, and bean will insert into the database. Let's test this. So run the application. It will take us to the home page index.jsp, where we have a hyperlink, open new account. So click to that hyperlink. Now this is an HTML form, so put some data into this. Account number, account name, 1053 is the account number, Sharayu, account name, saving is the account type, and say 50,100 is the balance. So I clicked submit, and now it has returned me failed. Now this is interesting because I wrote everything correctly. Now see the error message. We have written system.out.println e in the catch block of the bean. So it is showing you that the table name is not correctly spelled. So go back to the bean, and here you can see by mistake we have written name of the table incorrectly. So let us stop the server first. Anyhow we'll have to start it after making changes in the bean. So we'll make some changes. I forgot that T, so now save this. So the error has clearly indicated that the table name is incorrect, so we have changed it. Start the Tomcat server and rerun the programs again. So the server has started. Application is already running in the browser. So go back to that browser tab. Again, refresh this application. Again, put some data in the HTML form. 1053 is account number, then name, then type and balance. So put some data here, submit, and here you can see account opened successfully. That means the bean has returned a value true and your servlet is returning your message account opened successfully. And we can check by going into the database, select star from accounts, and you can see the last one, the record is inserted successfully. So the whole process that we wanted to test, an HTML form, a servlet and a bean, is successfully executed. This is a bean in which we have 4 setters. That means a servlet will pass 4 values to the bean and will receive 1 value in reply. So everything is tested successfully and you can try writing this bean.